like it's been forever, but we finally have Invincible Season 2 coming out soon, and I got to check out the first 4 episodes early. This will be my non-spoiler review, reaction to those, because hot damn, we are back. So just a little bit of point of reference, the first season of Invincible was my first ever thing to this world. I have always really appreciated Robert Kirkman when it comes down to The Walking Dead. That's mainly what I knew him about. I enjoyed the show. I love the comics. But I never really got into Invincible. That was the one thing that I wanted to always dive into, but I was always very intimidated by all the different volumes. Like, if you just see that one book, it's like this big. There's 2 more like that. The Invincible story is huge. And after watching the first season, I went, hot damn, I need to read all of this. I cannot wait for a season 2 or season 3 or season 4, however many seasons they do. I need to know right away. I read every comic of Invincible within like the span of a month after the first season. I loved season 1. When I had gotten to the point in the graphic novel where season 1 had ended, I jumped back and rewatched all of season 1. And the best thing about that is because the graphic novel is great. But season 1, every character choice, every big moment, every jaw-dropping surprise like Omni-Man killing all the Guardians of the Globe in the end credit scene of the first season, all of that was heavily improved on within the show. The graphic novel was always awesome and fun and exciting, but the show made everything better. Characters such as Amber or even Mark's mother all stand out, and I love how they would move around things like, oh, we'll place this here, we'll move this scenario here, things that maybe wouldn't happen until a little bit later on, we'll move up, and it was flawless. I thought that first season of Invincible just got better and better, and the way that it ended was incredible. Season 2 had a lot to live up to, and we're back. This is about everything I wanted and more, and by the time the 4th episode ended, I was getting all giddy and excited for what was to come next. And while I know what's to come next, when this season started doing certain storylines from the comics, I got hyped because I know people who've never read the comics are about to be in store for such a good time. One of my favorite storylines that happens fairly early in the comics as well happens in one of these first 4 episodes. And when it did, I just smiled from ear to ear. Because at this point where I'm at now, there's 4 episodes left of the season. And I don't know how they're going to adapt, what they might change, what they might bring forward. And I'm so open to it all. Definitely can't wait, as I'm very excited to discuss this with all of you guys down below. Who is your favorite character from Invincible? What was your thoughts on season 1? Have you started watching season 2? Well, maybe you didn't because this review is early, but if you're checking out this review as season 2 is going on, let me know down below. And of course, guys, just make sure to hit that like and subscribe button for more movie content like this over here on a daily basis. I love talking movies and TV over here. And if you are the same, if you're a nerd, you are certainly in the right place. So going a little bit further with this review, flat out also, I'm loving the new animation. You know, this took about 2.5 years, it really feels, to finally get us to this new scheme of everything. And I say 2.5 because when the first season dropped, I was in training for a job that I'm still at now and that I've been at for like 2.5 years. So it's kind of like we've come full circle, and like when I started that job, this was like the first big new show that I started watching, and I mean, for me, the animation in the first season was like, oh, it's popping right out of the comic book. It's fun, it's nice, but this is like next level. You can totally tell that they got a whole bigger budget, whether it's certain character designs or even just small little touches and details on like Mark himself, you can just see, but from the camera movements to the action to everything that they can do in here, the action feels more ferocious. All of it just feels more exciting. And on top of that, it's exactly where I wanted this show to go next. So obviously, yes, the animation is fantastic. Yes, the action is great. But it really comes down to that story. And this season alone is very much more about the aftermath of his father's betrayal. Within those first 4 episodes, it's really all the characters and how they are dealing with life now. You have Mark struggling with his responsibilities as Invincible and encountering, of course, unexpected enemies. You have his mother now also dealing and grieving from what she had pretty much let go on, even though she didn't know, her husband was a murderer. And all these things and more. And I really love how this show makes you care about everyone. Like, makes you really come to understand every single thing. And if you didn't get to watch the Adam Eve special earlier this year that dropped around San Diego Comic-Con, I highly recommend going and checking it out, because I think it gives a lot more development to Adam Eve as a character. So some of the things that she's dealing with within her family now makes a lot more sense. And even on top of that, when I look back at the comics, two of the characters that really much annoyed me with certain choices that they made was Mark's mother in the aftermath and everything, and Amber. I just think Amber's like the most annoying ass character in the entire comic books, and I think a lot of people had issues with her in the first season of the show. And I always said, I was like, guys, she is so much worse in the graphic novel. Like, none of you understand, for people who've never read it. And I was really happy to see season 2. I actually like Amber. Like, I'm actually, not annoyed with her character. And, the first season I was a little bit biased because it's Zazie Beetz, and I'm a pretty big fan of her as an actress. But this season, every choice that they've made with Amber has actually made me care a little bit more about Mark and her's relationship and the romance that they kind of spark. There's this nice chemistry between them both. And the same thing goes for, all the other characters. Everything just kind of feels like it's being built on top. And while I don't feel like we've gotten enough of the Guardians of the Globe whatsoever yet, I'm more interested to see where that kind of goes, because it just feels like it's more introductions. We've really been focusing in on Adam, Eve, Mark's mother, and a couple other storylines as well, such as Alan, the alien, played by Seth Rogen, who there's a choice they make in here that I love what they did with it in the comics, but I love how they segued in here. It's around episode 3. And it developed Alan a lot more than I was expecting. All of episode 3 was actually one of the most unique episodes. If I'm not... it's that perfect one that kind of goes, okay, the first 2 episodes are very much us giving us that epilogue, but now we're getting into the meat of it. And again, it's really hard to talk about without getting into spoilers, but I loved it. And I continue to love so much about this. Sandra Oh's voice acting, Steven Yeun's voice acting, their performances are great. Invincible is absolutely incredible. It's everything that I truly wanted for season 2 to kick this off, and I can only see it going further and farther. To give this season a con so far, again, I've only seen the first 4 episodes, so the next 4 might kind of improve this, but I do feel like they're introducing a couple too many concepts that maybe bothers a few. If you've seen the trailer and you've read the comics, you know that there's this multiverse angle to certain parts of it all. I'm not going to get any deeper than that, but really much just one new character that kind of adds that. I don't know how much people are going to feel on that, because obviously the MCU and then it looks like the DC universe might also be playing into that, and I don't know if that's just something that's kind of annoying. That is something that they did in the comics, so I understand why they're bringing it in. It just feels like there's a lot of different ideas being flown out there, and I think at times in season 2 it might be oh my god, what, wait, what's the story going on right now? Who are we focusing on? What are we not focusing in on? Who should I focus in on? I can understand that being a bit overwhelming. It's not a con for me, but I can definitely see it being a con for a lot of you guys, because again, I understand it can be overwhelming, but again, I'm looking forward to see how the next 4 episodes might flesh that out. Every episode really dives in and dissects every single storyline you get into it in. That's all I can ask for. So overall, Invincible season 2, I'm loving it, and I can't wait to see the rest of this season so far. So with all that said, I'm going to give Invincible season 2 an A. I do look forward out to that. I'm going to do my best to try and cover the rest of the season episode to episode, because I have a blast doing that with the last season of Invincible, and I'm so happy that we're finally back with this. Again, if you haven't checked out the comic book yet, you absolutely should, because it's going to start selling out, because let me tell you, the last 2, they sold out pretty fast, so definitely start buying them now. Thank you so much again for watching this, and of course, until next time, stay classy.